Hello everyone and welcome back to Ruby Lessons in Code Academy. So before I start for today's lesson, I would like to come back to the last lesson and kind of explain what was happening in the getting technical bit, so in the very last section. So we were using the sort method again, but this time we passed the arguments differently. So this is how it normally works. So this is the default block. But if you want them to be in descending order, so watch the previous video to get the context of what I'm talking about. To get them in descending order, we pass the arguments in the same way around, but then we compare them the other way around. You could also do another thing, so you can pass second book first and first book second. And that's going to achieve the same result, because if you think of the block as a function, you're just swapping them around. If you swap them twice, you're going to get the same result as here. If you swap it once, whichever thing you swap, you are going to get what you want it to be, so descending order. And this works because of how the comparison operator works, or the, what was it? The other, I can't remember the name. So the combined comparison operator. So that compares them the other way around, basically. So that's why that works. So now moving on to today's lesson, which is just a review of what we have learned in this whole section. So let's quickly review how to create a basic Ruby method. I don't know why there's a puts there, but oh well. So this is just an example of how you would create a method that doubles the value you give it. And we do actually return it instead of just printing it out to the console. Instructions: create a method welcome that puts, so okay, we don't actually need any arguments by the looks of things for now anyway. Puts welcome to Ruby, exclamation mark, after defining your method, call it. Oops, okay, that's quite easy. And then to call it we just do welcome. Normally, most programming languages, you are required to put the parentheses there. I guess Ruby doesn't mind whether you do or you don't. But if you have a variable that's called welcome, then you might confuse yourself. So my recommendation is to actually put the parentheses there, so that you don't confuse yourself. And moving on. Methods with arguments. So the method we just created doesn't take any arguments. You just call it and it does whatever it is going to do. And that has only one output ever. Good, now let's make our method a bit more complex by adding arguments and a return statement. So this is going to depend on so the output of this method is going to depend on the input. Whereas in this one, nothing depends on the input, because there is no input. Instructions: change your welcome method definition. Add a single string parameter called name. Change your welcome method definition? Oh, this. Okay. Add a single string parameter called name. Name equals something, I guess. Remove your put statement and replace it with return hello name. Okay. So it wants us to have that, and so that's going to be taking it in. And we want to return hello pound name. That is not how you spell name. Welcome, and then we will need to call it with a name, I'm guessing. And as you can see, we get hello Michael, which is what I was expecting. So let's explain it, I guess, slightly. I have explained it in more detail in the first two sections, so that's 3 videos ago, but I will go into not as much depth now. So we are passing this argument, Michael, or name equals Michael, and then when we do return hello name, the method returns something to us. This shouldn't actually print this out, because to actually print it out you need a print statement there. And yeah, this is how you should normally do it, instead of using return. Well, this is the most useful way of doing it. And then I print the output. So doing this gets me the output, and then I can use that output to print, or I don't know, welcoming statement equals, and I will actually do that underscore, maybe not like that, there we go, equals welcome Michael, and now I have this output, which is welcome Michael, or hello Michael rather, assigned into welcoming statement, which I can then use later on to add or take away things from, whatever I want to. Then we moved on to blocks. So let's go over what we learned about blocks. The example above is just a reminder about syntax. We calculate the sum of a list of numbers. So we have numbers, we have an array of numbers 5, 2, and 8. We assign sum to be equal to 0, numbers that each do n, and then we have end. So the block here is between do and end. If you remember, you can write do as an open curly brace and end as a closed curly brace. They mean the same thing. So the block is between do and end here. So you have this and this are between the block. So for each number, you're assigning each number to be equal to n, and you're adding n onto sum. So at first you add 5 to 0, so you get 5, 2 to 5 you get 7, 8 to 7 you get 15. And then at the end you put sum, so that prints out 15 to the console. So add a block after .each that multiplies each item by itself and puts the result to the console. Oh, okay, so we just need to edit this. .each, I prefer using this block. There we go. I will assign this here, n, and okay, we put the multiplies each item by itself. Oh, okay, so we want to do it to the power of 2, n to the power of 2, because we're taking each element once and then multiplying it, and we want to put each result out. So what are we expecting? Let's see if we get what we're expecting. 1 times 1 is going to be 1. 2 squared, 4, 3 squared, 9, 4 squared, 16, 5 squared, 25. Good. You can also do this in this way as well. You are going to get the exact same result. But I believe that this is more efficient. There we go. Moving on. And then we moved on to sorting. And we discussed why sorting is useful. Watch the previous video if you didn't see that. Finally, let's review what we learned about sorting. Remember that the above example was how we sorted in alphabetical order. So if you are going to sort in alphabetical order, you don't even have to write this out, but this is what is done by default. So let's see, first book, second book, we are passing those two arguments to sort, and then we are saying that first book, comparison operator, second book, so combined comparison operator, second book. Use .sort to sort the fruits array in descending, so in reverse, the opposite of alphabetical. So if A was first, now we want Z to be first. You can use the combined comparison operator, like the example above, or an if-else statement. So this looks much better. Well, it takes up less space, which is why it's more useful to use blocks than if, else, if, and else. And it can sometimes make more sense. So instead of having first book, second book, we have first fruit, second fruit. And second fruit. Again, the same thing here. And I should have made that a capital. There we go. So this is going to make them in alphabetical order. Print, well, it's supposed to be fruits. But because I copied it over, it works like that. So, as you can see now, it's alphabetical order. To change the order, I could do one of two things. Could do this. And it reverses it. Or, I could keep it this way. I could keep those arguments that way. And do this. Oops. Nope, nope, nope. Reversing one of the inputs, or either reversing the definition or the inputs, has the same effect. But if you reverse both of them, then what happens is that I just end up with what I started with. So in ascending order instead of descending, which is how programming works, I guess, in this case. So yeah, now if you submit code like this, everything works fine. So if you have any questions, do feel free to ask in the comments down below. Other than that, if you enjoyed watching this video, then please give it a like, share, subscribe. It helps me out and encourages me to make more videos. Other than that, thank you so much for watching and goodbye.